G'day guys, welcome to my RSY's feature video. Today I'm going to be talking to you guys about NRL Round 8 recap preview for 2021 guys, so let's get started. So starting off with this first match of this game, we see the Raiders going up against the Rabbitohs now. And this game was pretty much an alright team. The Rabbitohs were absolutely pretty much a great team, just scoring lots of points in that game. 34 points to 20 in that game, and it was absolutely scoreless. But the Raiders, though, they were absolutely appalling. They have lost George Williams. They have lost Josh Hodgson and Chante Nickel-Klokstad. They obviously have lost a lot of players, in my opinion. But it's not just that. It's like the Raiders are just not focusing on their football right. And I have heard that Chante Nickel-Klokstad will be out because of neck injury. I'm not too sure about Josh Hodgson though. I have heard that he has been dropped but not injured. It's highly unlikely about that. And George Williams, I'm not too sure about him. I haven't heard if he is injured or not. Do tell me in the comments down below if he is injured or not, George Williams. I'm not too sure about that. But anyway, though, like the Rabbitohs were absolutely on fire in that game. Cannot believe Cody Walker was absolutely scoreless in that match to make it a really good game for the Rabbitohs. Obviously, for Benji Marshall, he played an absolutely awesome game. Credit to him and credit to Cody Walker. But there's no Adam Reynolds, which that means that what is a big loss for the Rabbitohs. They're going to have to keep track of them side because if Adam Reynolds is not going to play, which he is injured because of the thumb injury, they're going to have to really rise up and have a look of what team they're obviously versing, because if they are, then yeah, 34 points to 20 for that scoreline anyway, just for you guys to check up. Well, let's have a look at the Raiders' tries anyway. So what we have here is Jordan Rapana, Elliot Whitehead, and Sebastian Kris. Let's have a look at the Rabbitohs' tries. What we have here is Alex Johnson that scored 2 tries, Campbell Graham, Dane Gagai, and Jane Sewer. And my player of the game went to number 6 from the South Sydney Rabbitohs, Benji Marshall. The next game of that match, we see the Storm going up against the Sharks now. And that match was absolutely so spectacular from the Melbourne Storm. They were absolutely on fire. They were making the job done. They were obviously putting the hard work in. But there was still no Ryan Papenhuyzen. But then it doesn't really matter because the Storm are just great and they'll just create so much energy and run around attacks, 2-on-1s, triple A's and stuff. But yeah, it was 40 points to 14 for that scoreline anyway, and obviously I did tip the Storm in that match, which I did think that the Sharks were going to really aim up in that game, but apparently they didn't. I do feel so sorry for the Cronulla Sharks because they have been struggling in the past, and without like any players in that game, there's still no Sione Katoa in that game, which I think he is injured. I'm not too sure when he will be back. Yeah, obviously for that, the Sharks are just still really an awesome team, but I'm not lucky for that. They just lost against the world's greatest team for Australian NRL anyway, like the Melbourne Storm. But anyway, let's have a look at the Sharks tries. What we have here is Britton Nakora and Connor Tracy for the Sharks. Let's have a look at the Storm tries. So what we have here is Josh Adokar, Tom Eisenhuth, Tui Kamakamika, Remus Smith that scored 3 tries, Jerome Hughes and Brandon Smith. And my player of the game went to number 2. Usually it's George Jennings that is number 2 for the Melbourne Storm, but unfortunately he didn't play, so it was number 2 from the Melbourne Storm, Remus Smith. I think he had a wonderful game, scoring 3 tries in that match, made it a very good game anyway. Credit to him and credit to the Melbourne Storm for making a really good game 40 points to 14 for that scoreline in that match. The next game of that match, we see the Broncos going up against the Titans. Now, in this game, what I do thinking about this match, like the Titans, first half, they were absolutely really dominating the Broncos, but then in the second half, they were absolutely shocking in that game. The penalties keep going to the Broncos, and that was just so robbery. Like, I don't know how the hell the Broncos were absolutely coming out firing in that game when the Titans were absolutely putting pressure on the Broncos in the first half. That game was so confusing, but it was so amazing to see Broncos winning in that game. But I do have to say, credit to the Broncos in that match for making a really good game. Only just won in that match, 36 points to 28 in that scoreline anyway. But let's have a look at the Titans tries. What we have here is Kevin Proctor, Corey Thompson, AJ Brimson, Tyrone Peachy, and Mitch Rain. Let's have a look at the Broncos tries. What we have here is Herbie Farnworth, Jermaine Asako, that scored 2 tries, Xavier Coates, Corey Oates, and Jesse Arthurs. And my player of the game went to number 1 from the Brisbane Broncos, Jermaine Asako. I think he had a wonderful game. The Broncos were absolutely dominant in that second half. The Broncos in the first half, they were absolutely flawless in that game. They were terrible and they didn't really make an attack. I didn't think the Broncos were going to absolutely make a mark of themselves and really did a comeback in that game and made a huge upset to score, obviously to win against the Titans anyway, but it was just a surprising game that the Broncos really aim up in that game in that second half to make it 36 points to 28 and that scoreline anyway. The next game of that match, we see the Panthers going up against the Manly Sea Eagles. Now, in this game, really strong energy by the Panthers. The Manly Sea Eagles in that first half played an absolutely great game in that match. I didn't think in this game that the Manly Sea Eagles were going to come out on top in that match, obviously in the first half, and they were keeping that scoreless in that first half. But in the second half, obviously for the Panthers, but in the first half, the Panthers were alright in that game. But then in the second half, things didn't go as planned for the Manly Sea Eagles because the Panthers are on an 8-winning streak in that game and obviously for the season. I didn't think that the Panthers were going to win in that game, but obviously the players, the energy, the spark and that formation really held down the Manly Sea Eagles for the Panthers to make a really good win in that match. But it was obviously 28 points to 16 in that game. And obviously, I didn't think that the Manly Sea Eagles were going to win. But I'm not saying they are terrible. They really are a good team. But let's have a look at the Manly Sea Eagles tries. So what we have here is Tom Trbojevic, Daly Cherry Evans, and Jason Saab. Let's have a look at the Panthers tries. So what we have here is Dylan Edwards, Brian To'o, Liam Martin, Tyrone May, and Stephen Crichton. And my player of the game went to number 17 from the Penrith Panthers, Liam Martin. I've heard a lot of things about this player. Obviously made a game-winning try in that game to make it a really good match in that match. I didn't think that Liam Martin was gonna make a really good effort in that game. Obviously for, I think, Stephen Crichton to make it a really good try, but obviously by Liam Martin's try assist in that match anyway. The next game of that match, we see the Bulldogs going up against the Parramatta Eels. My Parramatta Eels absolutely did really well in the first half and the second half. I didn't think in this game that the Parramatta Eels were absolutely really scoreless in that match, but it was 32 points to 10 in that scoreline. I didn't think the Bulldogs were going to aim up in that game, but in that match, I also didn't think that the Bulldogs were going to win in that game. I'm not saying that they are negative. I'm not saying that they are terrible. But usually, if the Eels, say for example, the Eels play against the Bulldogs at Bankwest Stadium for the Eels home game, usually we get smashed by the Bulldogs in that match. But now, usually for the Eels, we put on a lot of pressure against the Bulldogs. I didn't think in this game that the Bulldogs were going to aim up in that match, and they were absolutely terrible in that game. But credit to the Parramatta Eels for making a really good win of that game and of that match. But yeah, let's have a look at the Bulldogs tries. What we have here is Jake Averillo and Dallin Watene-Selesniak. Let's have a look at the Parramatta Eels tries. What we have here is Clint Gutherson that scored 2 tries, Mike Osevo that scored 2 tries, Sean Lane and Marata Niokore. And my player of the game most certainly went to number 2 from the Parramatta Eels, Mike Osevo. I think he had a wonderful match, really aim up in that game, scoring 2 tries in that match. Absolutely great player, scoring for my Supercoach 99 points in that match. Obviously in that Supercoach points. But yeah, credit to Mike Osevo, and obviously credit to Parramatta Eels for making a really good game. 32 points to 10 for that scoreline anyway. The next game of that match, we see the Knights going up against the Roosters. Now, in this game, most certainly, the Knights did alright. And for the Knights playing in that game, they were absolutely terrible in that defence and obviously in that match. I cannot believe that they were absolutely shocking in the first half and in the second half. Obviously in that game, the Roosters were absolutely aiming up in that defence. The Roosters are a really good team. I just cannot believe that the Roosters were just smashing the Knights. 38 points to 4 for that scoreline. I just cannot believe the Roosters were absolutely really scoreless in that game. But the only try they basically scored in that game for the Knights was, I think, number 2 from the Newcastle Knights, Braden Musgrove. Yeah, so Braden Musgrove was the only try scorer in that game for the Newcastle Knights. But let's have a look at the Roosters tries. What we have here is Daniel Tupou, Josh Morris that scored 3 tries, Angus Crichton, Matt Igavalu and Sam Walker. And my player of the game went to number 7 from the Sydney Roosters, Sam Walker. I think he had a wonderful game. Really, he's just absolutely machined. He just leads the try assist, and I just think in that game that Sam Walker made an absolutely great job to obviously score try assists, helping out the Roosters, really creating numbers by numbers to make an absolutely good try for the Sydney Roosters, like even tries. I just didn't think in this game that the Roosters were going to be a really good team, but yeah, credit to the Roosters and credit to Sam Walker in that game. But it was 38 points to 4 for that scoreline. The next game of that match, we see the Warriors going up against the Cowboys. Now, in this game, obviously I was there at that match, Central Coast Stadium. I was vlogging at that game, so go check out my video. It's obviously uploaded in my YouTube channel, so go check that out. I need so many people to check out my YouTube channel. But also for the others that obviously are supporting my YouTube channel, thanks so much. I really appreciate it. God bless you, and respect for you anyway. But anyway, let's talk about this. So 24 points to 20 in that game. I was there obviously vlogging that game, so go check out that video. But the Cowboys in the first half, really shocking in that game. It was so boring to see the Cowboys didn't really make a mark in that game. In that first half, they were absolutely terrible in that game. But I just cannot believe that in this game, absolutely shocking by the Cowboys that really didn't make a mark in the first half. But in the second half, the Warriors and the Cowboys were both making a mark and coming out firing in that game. But most certainly the Warriors in the first half and the second half, they were playing excellent. Obviously the Cowboys in the second half, they were coming out firing to obviously win that game, but obviously trying to win, but they only just lost by 4 points. So let's have a look at the Cowboys tries. What we have here is Reece Robson, Murray Taulagi that scored 2 tries, and Scott Drinkwater. Let's have a look at the Warriors tries. What we have here is Cody Nikorima, Rocco Berry, Ben Murdoch-Masila, and Adam Pompey. And my player of the game went to number 6 from the New Zealand Warriors, Reece Walsh. I think he had a wonderful game, scoring like try assists. Obviously for Supercoach, I don't have him on my Supercoach, so he would score some points for you guys. Obviously for your fans, they obviously like him. But yeah, Reece Walsh is my player of the game. I just think that he obviously made a wonderful mark for the Warriors, and yeah, credit to him and credit for the Warriors in that match for 24 points to 20 for that scoreline. And last but certainly not least, we see the Dragons going up against the West Tigers. Now, in this game, what I do think about this match, most certainly the West Tigers were absolutely shocking in the first half, but the Dragons, they were absolutely appalling. This game was most certainly shocking in that game, but the Dragons, they were absolutely shocking in that match, and obviously for the first half and second half in that game, they weren't scoring tries, but the only player that scored in that game was Cody Ramsey for the Dragons, but it was 16 points to 8 for that scoreline anyway. But let's have a look at the Dragons tries, but the only try that basically scored was Cody Ramsey. I did mention that. But let's have a look at the West Tigers tries. What we have here is Tommy Talau, Zach Sini, and Joseph Leilua. And most certainly, my player of the game went to number 24 from the West Tigers that obviously made his NRL debut, obviously scoring a try, Zachary Sini. This player was absolutely scoring like a try in that game, but credit to him for making his NRL debut. I do have respect for you, bro. You're an absolutely great player, and obviously for the West Tigers for debuting him for the West Tigers against that Dragons team for last week's game. I didn't think in this game that most certainly the Dragons were going to win in that game, and I just didn't think in this match that it was going to be a hard game, but most certainly it was. So credit to Zachary Sini for making his NRL debut. I do have respect for the West Tigers, and for the West Tigers, well done from Zachary Sini for making his NRL debut anyway. But it was 16 points to 8 for that scoreline. Thanks guys for watching my video, guys. Stay tuned for more. We'll be doing a couple of videos coming to you guys soon. Also, I'll be doing more videos coming to you guys soon, so stay tuned for more. Plus, leave a like and subscribe to my YouTube channel and for this video. And I'll see you guys in my next video. Till then, take care, guys. Stay safe and have a good one. Plus, let's go up to 300 subscribers. We're sitting on 207. I need lots of you, all of you guys, to go support my YouTube channel. Please, I want to get up to 300 subscribers, but obviously there was 2 that obviously unsubscribed, so most certainly the other half that subscribed to my YouTube channel, I thank you guys so much, and I have support for all you guys out there. So thanks guys for watching this video. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel, and most certainly need to get up to 300 subscribers anyway, most certainly, and take care.